It feels like only yesterday that Bayern Munich defeated Paris Saint-Germain to win the 2020 Champions League, but the group stage for the 2020-2021 campaign kicks off this week with a tantalising series of fixtures across Europe. Colin, as ever, lots of high-profile African players playing for some of Europe's biggest clubs. Who do you see going the distance? Which of Africa's stars do you think could be potential winners in this year's Champions League?
That's quite juicy. I mean, I think we have to start by looking at what teams can actually make it all the way. And you've got the usual winners in Bayern. You've got Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona. And when you look at those, you've got to think that those with the best chance of winning it would be Bayern making a repeat. Liverpool, they're looking solid, apart from the loss of Virgil van Dijk, looking very solid. And then there's also Man City, who are outsiders. So I've got to think about the likes of Salah, Mane, Keita, Matip for Liverpool. Go over to, say, Bayern, Eric Choupo-Moting. He could just join them. And then, of course, there's Inter, who have a slim chance of just making it, and with Achraf Hakimi bounding down that right-hand side. So I think, leaving it there would just make quite a lot of sense. What do you think?
Well, Liverpool's a very interesting one, because I think maybe a week ago I would have agreed with you, or maybe 2 weeks ago I would have agreed with you. But since then they were beaten 7-2 by Aston Villa, and they've now lost Virgil van Dijk for an indefinite but likely long period of time. So I'm not sure Liverpool are looking so good. And if they are going to mount a challenge, they may need, you talk about the African trio at the club, Keita, Salah and Mane, but may it actually be Joel Matip, who now has to step into a key role in that defence alongside Joe Gomez. Do you think that Joel Matip could be up to replacing Virgil van Dijk, at least for the next 3 or 4 months?
Well, it is a possibility, or, Liverpool could just go out there and pick up somebody, to fill that gap, because definitely the one thing we do know is that after that ligament injury, Van Dijk is not coming back anytime soon. So yeah, Matip has done the job of filling in the past, and he could well do so again, but he's not quite of the same level or the same quality as Van Dijk. So maybe you might be right, but look, Liverpool and the Champions League, is just they're just meant to defy the odds, and I think that they are quite capable of doing that. You talk about them losing. Look, they've had a long season. Fatigue will definitely set in, but it's Liverpool. It's the Champions League, so anything is possible with them.
Well, this is a Liverpool team who have conceded 9 goals in the last 2 games, even with their star central defender. I mean, if I'm Atlanta or if I'm Ajax, I'll be licking my lips like you lick your lips when you're faced with a bowl of jollof rice when I see that Liverpool defence. Because quite frankly, I think either or even both Ajax and Atlanta could pip Liverpool to the automatic qualification places. Looking at Ajax, they've still got a big African presence, the likes of Onana, the likes of Mohamed Kudus of Ghana, a new arrival. But obviously they've lost Ziyech. They reached the knockout stages last season, but do you think they could be dark horses again this term?
Yeah, they certainly can be. Look, they're very, Ajax, irrespective of what people might think, have been among the aristocrats of European football. And when you see the run they've made over the last couple of years, you've got to look at them and think that they can mount a challenge. And look, I would disagree with you that, as much as they might lick their lips all they want at the jollof rice that is the Liverpool defense, I still think that when it comes to the group stages, Liverpool still have enough to get past that, all of that opposition. Where, the concern might come from might be when they get to those knockout stages where they have to face the likes of, their peers, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Lazio, even Man City. That's where the problem comes from. Otherwise, at the group stage, I think Liverpool still have enough to get through.
I liked your suggestion of Bayern Munich. I think for me, if Maxim Choupo-Moting was to go from being a Champions League defeated finalist to a Champions League winner in the space of a calendar year, I think it would be quite a remarkable achievement. But I'm really excited to see Bayern up against RB Salzburg in their group, a team with really interesting African connection. Obviously, the Zambian double act of Mwepu, the vice captain, and Patson Daka, who was linked to Tottenham. And they're a team, I don't know if they're going to go the distance, but they're a team who I'm really excited to see another year on their evolution, some big matches ahead, just to see what the Austrian champions can bring to the table. I'm surprised you didn't mention Paris Saint-Germain, to be honest, because They were defeated finalists last year, so they're going to be stronger for that experience. And obviously they had that disastrous game against Marseille to begin the Ligue 1 season. But since then, they've won 5 straight games. And I think they could blow Manchester United away in the first match between the two this week. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, look, it's a possibility. The reason I didn't mention them was that there really isn't an African. We're talking about teams with significant African contingents, and PSG are not there.
What about Idrissa Gueye? He had a fantastic role last season as they reached the final. Are you part of this group who think that now Rafinha's come, Gueye is history at PSG?
Well, maybe, but again, we're talking significant African contingent, so that sort of puts them a little bit outside the picture. But yes, I do agree, PSG can provide a challenge. I'm not sure they will make it all the way to the final this time, but I do think they'll go a long way this year.
I loved your suggestion of Inter Milan as well. For me, I would put them probably outside, obviously, that top group, or maybe even the second tier of teams. But I just think they do have that quality for the big European nights. They've got players with pedigree. Plus, of course, Antonio Conte has signed Achraf Hakimi, one of the players who perhaps escaped criticism after the Milan derby defeat by AC Milan. Inter Milan, they've got Real Madrid, they've got Shakhtar, they've got Gladbach. It's a tough group. But what's your prediction for Inter Milan this season?
Look, I think they're an even more formidable side than they were last season. And I think just like you were talking about PSG, I think they'll be better for the experience of, having made the challenge they did last season. And when you look at the group they've got, Shakhtar, Mönchengladbach, Real Madrid, Madrid are looking, a bit frayed around the edges right now. And that loss to Cadiz this season would have sort of, shaking them in their boots. And I think that irrespective of that loss to Milan, you could see Inter were actually really in charge, in control of that game. And really, if they had got the goals, that the chances they created, we saw Lukaku, sort of, if you could have put away the chance he had, Inter could have won that game by a country mile. So yeah, I do think I fancy Inter to top the group, and maybe Real Madrid to scrape the second place out.
Finally, let's close by looking at Club Brugge. Some really interesting Nigerian attackers here. Do you think Gernot Rohr should make time to check out one of their Champions League games this season?
Oh, well, he always does. He always checks out the players, in Europe, especially the ones in the Champions League. And I have no doubt that he will be looking out for the likes of David Okereke and Emmanuel Dennis. Don't forget, Dennis has been in the Nigeria national team setup. Didn't quite get a game, but Okereke, is also one that will be of very of good interest for Gernot Rohr. And I think, just picking up, I think Bruges have got the largest contingent of African players in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've got about 8 or so players from Africa. So yeah, I do think that Gernot Rohr will be keeping an eye out for the Nigerian contingent at Club Brugge.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.